Hey, what's up guys? Welcome back to the channel. I'm back again with another repair video. This time I'm going to be working on the CVD axles. I'm going to be taking out all four and I'm going to be hammering it back to where it's kind of straight, because right now it's wobbling and it's touching the springs. So yeah, I'm going to be doing that. I'm also going to be showing you the difference from the Generation 1 and the Generation 2. I've already taken this apart and it's right here. So once I've taken this apart, I'm going to show you the difference, and I'm going to show you guys how to take this apart as well. So yeah, stay tuned. Alright, so taking this off is really easy. Once you've taken the wheels off, you're going to see something like this. And then you basically got to push this pin out. So I'm using a pick. Push the pin out. And then this hub comes out, just like that. And now you're left with these two screws to deal with. So these two screws are the pillow ball that hold the upper arm and the lower arm to the steering block. And you gotta take that off. And then the screw you see right here in the front, they're set screws. All they do is hold the pillow ball into place. So you gotta use, I think this is 1.5. And then the screw out here is 2.0. So this actually goes all the way through the screw and to the pillow ball. And you just want to push the suspension up so it can be straight, and then you get this in there. And you can start twisting. And then when you're taking it off, you can see it coming off. You loosen that one, and then you loosen the bottom one. You gotta do it little at a time, because it gets binded when you take off the top part further than the bottom part, or the bottom part further than the top part. So you gotta take your time with it. You can also take off this one here. You could take this off to make it easier as well. But I find that I don't really need to take this off. I just need to get one of these off. Alright, I got the top part off. And now you can easily just let the dog bone fall to the bottom. Kind of like that. And then this part comes off. Just like that. So now you have this whole unit. And then to take this off, there's this metal ring that covers a pin that holds the axles together. So this metal ring has to come off, and it's pretty rusted. So what I do is I hit it with some WD-40, just like that. Get it all around here. Alright, now we need to take this off. Usually when I'm taking this thing off, I soak it in WD-40, I pinch it on the side with pliers, and then I knock it on something really hard. And then the force should bring this whole metal shield down. So I grab this by here like that, and then I knock it down here. And I keep doing that until it comes off. It's just like that. See, it came off. And now once you get to this point, take your pick, or in this case, there used to be a set screw right here. There used to be a set screw right here, but it fell off. Usually you would have to unscrew this set screw, and then you could push the pin out. But since this one fell off, I could just push the pin out like that. Here's the pin. So don't lose this. You lose this pin, you're not going to be able to drive. That's it. And that's apart. And that's basically it. Alright guys, so here's the difference. This is the Gen 2. This is the Gen 1. And supposedly this is supposed to be an upgrade from the first version. So if you can see here how big and bulky this is compared to how thin this is. So this goes over this thing like this, like that, and then you put your wheels on and then the nut goes on. And then this thing is just a big giant bulky axle end thing, whatever you call it. And then this thing goes on and it gets held by a pin, and then your wheel goes on to here, and then the nut goes on. So yeah, it's kind of a different setup, kind of a upgrade sort of. And that's cool because this thing helps with the wheel wobble. So as you can see, the Gen 1 has a lot of wheel wobble, and then the Gen 2, there's like barely any wheel wobble. It's because of this big giant thing. So that's pretty cool. That's a nice upgrade. The only thing that is not upgraded are the shafts. This is the Gen 1, and obviously you can see it's kind of bent, and it gets even worse than this. So what I do is I take it out and I hammer it. I try to make it as straight as possible, and it actually works. It lasts a long time until it gets all bent up again. But here's the Gen 2 shaft. It's kind of straight now, but later it's going to bend, because this is the same shaft as the Gen 1. And the reason why I know that this is going to bend is because this left side right here is already bending, and it's already touching the spring sometimes. Right there is where it touches the spring. And also it doesn't help when the upper arm is loose like this. See how there's play? That play actually helps the axles touch the springs. So I'm gonna have to put some shims in here for the Generation 2 so that it eliminate the play up here, and it could keep the axles a little bit straighter without touching this thing. So yeah, that's another project on that vehicle, but for this one we're gonna be doing this here. So I've already done these three off camera, so I'm gonna be showing you this one here. Alright guys, so it's pretty straightforward what I said. You just look for where the bow is, right there, and then you just gently tap it back. And you check for the bow again, and if you notice, it kind of went down a little. So a little bit more on this side. That is, well, that's the straightest I'm gonna get it. I'm satisfied with that. Alright, so now that I've rehammered that, let's put it all back in the truck. Alright guys, so since I'm showing you a comparison from the Gen 1 and Gen 2 CV axles, I might as well show you guys how to take off the Gen 2, like disassemble the axles. Because with this one, there's a coil wire here holding the pin in place. And then with the Gen 1, it's a piece of metal that goes over the top here, kind of like this. And then it goes all the way in, and then it holds the pin in place. So that's the difference from the Gen 1 and Gen 2, is that Gen 1 has a piece of metal holding it in, and then the Gen 2 is a metal wire. So I'm going to show you guys how to take the Gen 2 axle apart, since I'm pretty sure a lot of people has the second generation JLB versus the first generation. So yeah, so I start off by, again, you know, you got to remove this pin right here to take off this 17mm hex. This is the thing that the wheel goes on top of too. I mean, goes on. Yeah, so this 17mm hex is what the wheels go onto, and then another nut holds it into place. So that comes off when you take the pin off, and then here is where you got to take off this spring wire thing. I had another viewer comment on this before, like, how do you take this off compared to the first one? So it's really easy. The this wire spring, there's not a whole lot of tension. You could even do this with the safety pin. You just gotta pry it out like this. And then once you've pried it out, you could just take it off the rest with your finger. Oh, it slipped back in. It's kind of tricky. So here we go. Just like that. There we go, just like that. See, I got one side off, and you just spin the rest and it all comes off. And there's your spring wire that holds in this pin. And then you take your pick, push the pin out, boom. Now this is basically it. That's it, guys. That's the disassembly of the CV axles on the Gen 2 JLB Cheetah. So yeah, that's basically the difference. So I'm gonna put this back together, stick it back in the truck, and then roll the truck around to see how bad the wobble is. Alright guys, putting this back is super easy. You take this part, take the axles, you stick it in, you put in the pin. Now this part here, this is where you put your set screw, and then you tighten it up so it holds the pin into place. But since I lost mine, I'm just gonna skip this part. And then you put this metal shield back on and make sure it's all the way in there. Just like that, all the way in there. And then from here, put on the wheel hub. Again, you see the difference here? This wheel hub was the only thick part of the axle, and now they decided to make this whole axle part as thick as the screw part for the wheels. It's heavier too. Anyways, you stick that back in just like that. Put the pin into place. You gotta make sure you got this thing on good. There you go. Just like that, and there you go. There you have it. The full assembly of the CV axle. And this is done to all four sides because they're all the same. And this is what I like about the JLB Cheetah. Alright, so what I usually do is I come in from the bottom like this. I make sure the dog bone is cleared back here. If you notice, the dog bone is right there. It's enough space for it to move around and stuff. And then you push this in. I'm trying to do this with one hand. Alright, that's in. And then you hold the dog bone into place. Let's see if I can get a corner shot right here. There we go. So you put that into place, and then you push this up until the dog bone goes into place. And there it is, it's right there. And then you bring this down. Line up the screws with the hole. Oh, dog bone fell out. You gotta make sure it's in before you start tightening up these screws. There we go. There we go. Now I just gotta hold that still. Come in with the Allen wrench. Come on. There we go. There we go. Alright, it's in. So, you notice here, dog bone is in the cup and the screws are in its hole. So now I can just tighten everything back up, little by little. It helps too when you push the suspension up like this to line it up. There you have it, guys. CV axle is kind of straight. Everything is put back. All I need to do is put the wheels on and we'll test it out. Alright guys, let's test this out. I can't put a battery in here and run it because the motor mount is bent and the motor is not connected, so I'm gonna have to spin this by hand and look at the axles. Well, that's pretty darn straight, sort of. At least it's not touching the springs. Let's try this side. Whoa, this side has some wobble still. Yeah, I could fix that later with a little bit more tapping on the hammer. But yeah, but so far it's not touching the springs. As you can see there, yeah, it's not touching the springs, so I'm satisfied with that. The rear, yeah, I don't really need to worry about the rear. It doesn't really bend that much. It's always the front. Yeah, that's not touching the spring, so I'm happy with that. How about this side? Yeah, same with this side. It's not touching the springs. So I'm happy with that. Yeah, so far it's going good. Alright guys, there you have it. So that's how you take out the CVD axle and maintenance it. Just like that. Well, that's how I do it. You can buy a replacement part, but I'm not going to do that because the replacement part is the exact same thing. It's going to bend. Same with the upgraded part. This part's going to bend. So yeah, that's how I do it. If you guys enjoyed the video, make sure to give it a like. Make sure to subscribe for more, and make sure to stay tuned for the next video. I'm going to be showing you guys how to take out the center drive shaft, just to show you guys how to do it. There's nothing wrong with mine, but I might as well just do it just to show you guys. And also the motor mount, I'm going to try to toy with that a little bit and put some double side tape on here. So, and then this truck should be ready to bash once again. Thanks for watching guys, cheers.